this team probably needs to take a big swing when they do make one, which is why I'm confused about these John Klingberg rumors. They're flying around like crazy today. Our chat keeps wanting us to ask you about it.
Mhm.
That I don't know if I'm a fan of this idea, just because, like, what's the upside? You bringing in John Klingberg doesn't solve your blue line, so why do it?
Well, the upside is it's free to find out, right? Essentially, like what you're looking at is a deal probably under $1 million that allows him to play out this season. And the true answer is if he signs and ends up being nothing, he's a guy that you just waive and put in the AHL and you forget about it. And that's that. It's not going to be a cap killer. He is a right shot defenseman. When he was healthy, a few years ago, he was a guy eminently capable of moving the puck. And I think the fact that the Oilers were another team that, as I reported with you guys a few months back, they took a flyer or tried to on Kevin Shattenkirk in a very similar type situation. Unrestricted free agent, looking for a place to play, right shot guy that could help you if needed. And Shattenkirk was like, "Hey, I've reached the point now after a few months not playing where I'm just going to retire." Klingberg had the hip resurfacing. We've seen some varied results of guys that have had a significant surgery like that and have made their way back to the NHL. Patrick Kane is the poster child for it. And last year stepped back into the NHL and had an 80 plus point pace that he played at with the rest of the season with the Detroit Red Wings. I'm not projecting at all. Like, I don't think I'm real skeptical, to be totally fair, what John Klingberg has left in the tank.
Mhm.
But it doesn't hurt to find out. And again, if it doesn't work, it's really of no risk to you.
I didn't really consider the idea of just sending him to Bakersfield if it doesn't work out. Then it kind of is
Yeah,
what it is,
or
right?
he doesn't have to report. Like,
Mhm.
you give him a shot, you have him practice with. First off, you sign him, you have him practice with you for a few weeks in time, in which um I would assume that they'd be able to use some, if they can structure it a whole bunch of different ways. Like,
Mhm.
they could sign him to a PTO first and he could practice with them for weeks and weeks, and see what he's got. They could, and with the idea that they'd give him a deal at the end of it, or they could sign him to a deal right off the hop. And if they needed to, could get LTIR benefit from it. Like, there's a million ways to do this that allows it to be risk free. So, look, he's at a 3, 4, 5 years ago. This is a guy that was in line for us, 55, $60 million contract. I don't think he's ever been the same since he turned that deal down in season by the Dallas Stars and has, I guess, had nightmares since then of how much money he's lost. And it's probably a really good cautionary tale for a lot of players that think that the grass is greener on the open market. You never know what can happen. I mean, this was a guy not that long ago that was, really highly thought of around the league as an upper echelon, number 2 defenseman in the NHL. And it's gone by the wayside in a hurry for him. And I'm sure he's desperate to find out if he can still do it.
Can I just tell you and again, maybe this isn't even a correct thing to a view to have, but my concern would be he comes in and for 3 weeks he's very good. And the Oilers look at that and convince themselves that they don't need a bigger and better splash or solution at the deadline. And then they go into the playoffs with the blue line looking as is, just plus John Klingberg. Like, I just worry that like a hot start to it changes their deadline plans. And I would much rather prefer to see them go take a serious swing on the blue line.
I don't really think that's a worry because if everyone's being honest here, I don't think the Oilers engaging in conversation with John Klingberg and his representative are sitting here today saying this guy is the magic potion and he's going to solve all of our problems. No, they're going into it with a healthy dose of skepticism, just like you and I. They're not telling them that, I'm sure, but they're thinking about it saying, if it works, great. And if not, no big deal. In the meantime, even if he's, I don't know, 60% of what he was a handful of years ago, I still think that other portion, the mystery part of this is a really precious year for the Oilers. We know why. It's the last year that they have McDavid and Draisaitl on incredibly manageable contracts. Not taking a swing and doing every single thing that you can, burn the boats, turn over every stone possible, is malfeasance. It's bad stewardship. And I think they know that and recognize it. I think the challenge to this point has been finding someone who's a true fit for exactly what they want to do. I'd rather see them go into this with a really narrow focus as opposed to just, well, we'll just pick kind of whatever's best out there. And I'm not saying that that's their approach, that it's scattershot by any means, but by all accounts, they came out of their pro scouting meetings in Boston a few weeks ago, and they were thinking, hey, we've got a whole list of guys that do a lot of different things. And that's good because the need can change between now and March 7th. There's still 7 weeks plus to go. But that said, it needs to be big. It needs to be impactful. It needs to be Matthias Ekholm level quality.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.